What's going on, Voltrons? Welcome inside the vault for a Tuesday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. It is the 24th of February here in 2026. I'm live from my hotel room in downtown Indianapolis, and that is where Eric DeCosta and Jesse Minter, Sarah, have already spoken with reporters and conducted their local media, which is required for GMs and head coaches around the league. For Jesse, it was his first impression in terms of a microphone in this type of stage at one of the key events of the offseason. So we're going to get into all of our takeaways, including the futures of several different players, and one that I think probably made the most news around the league, Sarah, and that is Tyler Linderbaum, who is a pending free agent. Will he at the open market? That remains to be seen, but we're about to get into every single aspect of today's press conferences, so let's do it. I'm Bobby Trossett, as always, joined alongside my co-host and partner, Sarah Ellison. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Primary Residential Mortgage, and if you could on the way in, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership this offseason. We'll get to some super chats as they come in, but partner, it's like 10 to 15-minute increments, so it's not a ton, and it's certainly not a sit-down. But it is helpful this time of year, and we're about to dive into why that's exactly the case.
I actually was a little bit surprised at how candid Eric DeCosta was with the Tyler Linderbaum situation. He just straight up said the type of money he's offered Linderbaum. I'll just jump right in. Here he is on the current state of his negotiations with his current starting center.
First of all, Tyler's a guy that I have tremendous respect for. Obviously he's proven to be, in my opinion, the best center in the league. We've been having conversations. We've had conversations since the end of the season. And at this point in time, we've made him a market-setting deal, proposal, offer, and hopefully we can get something done with him between now and the start of the new league year. Well, I think we started that last year. We took a couple guys we were excited about last year on the offensive line, in Cordell and Emery. We're excited to see what those guys bring to the table this year. No guarantees, but we're excited to see where those guys are, and we're not done yet. I think it was tough to see Nnamdi go down last year. Left us probably a little vulnerable. We did see some guys step up. It was great to see Travis emerge like he did, especially the second half of the season. We were fortunate to be able to get a deal done with him. But I think, we've always been a team that has valued the importance of, quote-unquote, the trenches and being up front, which is one of the reasons why we want to bring Tyler back, if we can. Certainly a focus for us is you look at your roster and you see the ebbs and flows. You lose players. We've lost some offensive linemen the last couple of years. We've lost some defensive linemen. We've got 11 draft picks, I think, and we should have a good opportunity to add players.
All right, Sarah. Two-part answer there that I spliced together for us just so we could have all things trenches, all things offensive line within one. But I think you and I know where it starts and ends, and that was the beginning part of that snippet that confirmed at least, right, that $18 million annual number north of that, which is where Creed Humphrey sits as the top paid offensive lineman, top center in the league. Apparently north of that is what Tyler Linderbaum has laid out in front of him, and that's courtesy of the general manager. And so now, between now and the 11th of March, let the games begin.
Oh, I think he just put the pressure on Tyler. That's a completely fair deal, Bobby. I was wondering if Eric DeCosta was maybe giving more top 3 center money. Again, I was thinking back to Ronnie Stanley and Marlon Humphrey, and it was more like, or even Mark Andrews, that was more like top 1 or 2, maybe 3. But like he said, it was record setting. So that's going to be north of 18 million. Creed Humphrey is the best center in the league. He's worthy of that. Sometimes the top paid person at a position isn't actually the best person. It's just the latest person. And so to be north of 18 million, that's a completely fair proposal. And you know what? If Tyler Linderbaum and his agent say, okay, we appreciate that. Let's say that the north of Creed Humphrey is a 19 million. Okay. Let's say it's 19 million. You overcome it by 1 million per year. It's a completely fair offer. But if Tyler and his agent are talking to people, which we know isn't technically legal, but we know it happens. If his agent's poking around and he's like, I think I can get you north of 20 million. then that's Tyler's prerogative to say, hey, you know what? I'd rather go out and get 20, 21 million. Who knows how high it's going out there. That's his prerogative to do that. But I don't want to hear anybody say, oh, EDC was cheap. No, EDC is trying to bring back his Pro Bowl center. He's offering a completely fair deal. It's not a cheap deal. It's a record-setting deal. That's the right way to go about this. He talked about the trenches. We've been talking nonstop about the trenches. We can't sit here and whine all the time that Lamar Jackson needs to be protected. And then when it comes time to pay his protectors, then all of a sudden you go cheap. He's not being cheap. He's willing to pay him the most of any center in this league. If there's another team out there that has more cap dollars because they don't have quarterbacks that they're paying or top safeties, decoy type defensive players like Kyle Hamilton. If other people have more money to throw at him and pay him way over the market, that's their prerogative, and it's Tyler's prerogative to take it. But if he wants to stay with a contender, if he wants to stay with the 2-time MVP and get a market-setting deal, he can get that with Baltimore. That's fully up to him. But I'm happy that Eric DeCosta let us know what he offered because it's a completely great deal.
Ronnie's prerogative a year ago could very well have been, let's allow myself to go hit the open market and see just how coveted of an asset I am. That never happened. And he took less to remain a Raven on a multiple. Now, different part of his career is where Tyler sits now. This is his first true opportunity to cash in off his rookie deal. We know that. And they declined his fifth-year option a year ago. But in a couple weeks from now, will we be comparing the two situations solely from the premise of, wow, had they hit the open market, that number likely would have went into record resetting astronomical numbers. Like you said, we're just essentially speculating that number could be, just north of 18. Jesse Minter, by the way, certainly endorses what he had heard from Eric DeCosta not, 2 hours prior to his media availability. Here he is on his potential future starting center.
Earlier, I think he's the best center in the league. I think he's one of the best interior linemen in the league. Major part of the team here. Somebody we'd love to have back. He's obviously in a, I feel like players, there's the rules are what they are as far as like your contract and earning free agency. So I respect all that. I think he knows how we feel about him, and that we'd love to have him back. I think he's a major piece of our offense. I think he fits really well into the direction our offense is headed. So a guy that we'd love to have back, but certainly respect the idea of free agency as well.
There you go. Respect the idea of free agency as well.
This is funny to me. There are some people with such an anti-Eric DeCosta driven agenda out there that they want to believe that he's lying. Okay, Eric DeCosta will definitely steer us wrong when it comes to draft picks because that's his job. He doesn't want to let the rest of the NFL know the type of players that he's targeting. But if you think that he would lie on his center, who he is trying to get to come back, the best way to torpedo that whole thing would just to be come out and lie about what he's offered. Do you know how easily that could be debunked? Do you know how easily that would tick off Tyler Linderbaum and his agent for any other players that he represents? And they would just be like, no, that's not true. And they could probably bring the offers to the table and show it. There's no way he's going to go in front of all the media and lie about it. Everybody who's pretending that that's what happened is just telling on themselves that you have an anti-EDC agenda. Eric DeCosta is not perfect. I'm still upset with what he did with the offensive line last year, but I will not be upset if Tyler Linderbaum walks after that offer. I'm telling you, his agent and Tyler would never speak to him again if he just went out and lied on his center like that.
We've heard a white lie or two over the years from DeCosta. We've seen his miraculous poker face do wonders when it comes to the media process and the negotiation process and trying to kind of, wait in the wings for free agency at times and make splashes periodically. But to your point, that would take it to a length of really short of
Stupidity.
the integrity that's required, the position that he occupies, knowing just how sensitive this is. And then I think you said it best at the top. The pressure is on now. It is known around the league that you have a record-setting deal, market-setting deal, whatever the wording was, which we have transcribed right here on the screen. And now it's your move, right there.
Yeah.
If they're at the chess table, it's now your move, Linderbaum and company. And so this sets the scene. I can't tell you, I've only been here for about 24 hours now, and various media members and friends within the creator community and you name it have just come up, and we've just chatted and caught up with folks, and everybody's like, especially the center needy teams, like like Jake, for example, who covers the Jets. They all are waiting to see how this situation unfolds in Baltimore with Linderbaum, because he's wanted around the league.
Yeah, definitely. And just to hit on some other things that he talked about, because he talked about trenches overall. I was really happy that he talked about, hey, we've always been a trenches team, which is why we want Linderbaum back. But he also, and I liked his messaging on the offensive line overall, where he went ahead and gave a head nod to people like Emery, who will be in contention for a starting maybe left guard spot. He will be in that contention. So I'm glad that he mentioned him, but then he added, but we're not done yet. I hope that's true. I hope that's true. I hope that if he does secure Linderbaum, and obviously you're going to want to develop Emery, but I hope you're not done. And I hope that means not just the draft. I hope that you do bring in one veteran guard who can legitimately compete for a starting spot and add one or two offensive linemen through the draft. So one veteran, two more via the draft, plus Linderbaum, then we're cooking.
Yep. Love it. Let's get to so we got a lot more to get to as well in terms of our takeaways from today's press conferences in Indianapolis. But first, let's get a read in here and tell you a little bit about Primary Residential Mortgage. If you're buying a home in Maryland, the Maryland Mortgage Program, aka MMP, offers powerful down payment assistance and grants to help you get there. So, down payment assistance, first and second time home buyer options, help for employees, caregivers, and buyers with student loans. All that comes with the Maryland Mortgage Program. You can give them a call today, meaning the folks at Primary Residential Mortgage. If you're in the Baltimore area, perhaps check them out at their Towson branch. You can call them directly, 410-663-2222. Again, that's 410-663-2222. We have all this information for you in the show notes. What we also have down there as well, and if you're watching in real time, it's a pinned comment, as it always is in the live chat, is that direct link, which will take you to the Instagram page to enter in, and you only have about 48 hours to do so before we randomly give away the $100 gift card to our merch store, which is brand new. It's a new feature and a great idea that Primary came up with for us on our behalf. So that's what we'll do. You can scan the QR code to learn more. Click on the link that we have included in our show notes. And again, if you're watching in real time, it's pinned in our live chat. And speaking of that live chat, I did throw up a poll for us, Sarah, right before we came on, and it's pretty simple. Are you confident the Ravens and Tyler Linderbaum will agree to a contract extension? And as we approach 350 votes this afternoon, 62% of you say yes, 38% of you say no. So not as overwhelmingly confident, maybe, as some were in the past when we've taken a look at different poll questions related to Tyler Linderbaum's future. So that is that. Let's get to Jason Johnson Super Chat, Sarah, and this one is for you. And you are muted over there. Must be coughing, huh?
Shoot. I wasn't coughing. Whatever. I won't say what I was doing. Okay, anyway. He says, Sarah, the other day, Bobby was trolling you. So I know that you heard EDC when he said that we most likely are not drafting the safety with the 14th overall pick. Bobby, you better believe I heard that kind of stuff where he said need is folded into best player available. He definitely knows he's got 2 first-round picks recently used on safety. I don't even want the trolling anymore. Let's move on from it. No, Caleb out of OSU, as good as he is, we're not getting a safety at number 14. Let's move on.
But Jason, I'm so pleased that you were willing to throw a super chat in here. just because this is probably going to be a quick hit, but we got a super chat about it. Here is that clip, Sarah, once and for all, of Eric DeCosta talking about the 2022 draft and maybe, just maybe, putting the safety discussion to bed at 14.
How other teams see it. Frankly, we don't care how other teams see it. For us, they were the best guys available when we made the picks. And every year is different. You know, we didn't go into that 2022 draft thinking Kyle Hamilton was going to be the best player available when we picked. And he happened to be the best player available, and thank God he was, right? This year, I think we did see a scenario where Malachi might have been that guy for us. There were other players that we liked. Those guys got taken. Malachi was fortunately the last guy standing for us before what we considered to be a little bit of a drop-off in the draft. So blessed that those two guys were available. Certainly don't expect to take a safety this year, probably at 14. Wouldn't expect that. Kind of what we talked about, need versus best available player. But I think in the case of those two guys, I think we knocked those two picks out of the park.
There you have it, Sarah.
Doesn't that? It just feels so good. It feels so good. I'm glad the EDC and I are on the same page. And no more intriguing scenarios here, Bobby. Nobody's intrigued by this. Not me, not EDC, not anybody, but you.
If you go to your mentions, meaning my mentions, when I tweeted out that specific clip with the specific quote, it is hysterical because people refuse to take him at his word when it comes to draft season. It cracks me up. And yes, we got tweets immediately referring to our discussion, which was mostly humorous yesterday. And now Jason was sure to revisit that. And you already know, as soon as that clip came down, I'm watching it live. I threw a timestamp down and knew that we were going to have at least 60 seconds of fun with it today.
Jason's my new favorite super chatter today. He's my new favorite right now. Appreciate you, Jason.
And of course, we're talking about Caleb Downs, by the way, who's potentially off the board by 14 when it's all said and done. A couple months from now, started his collegiate career at Alabama, then went to Ohio State, transferred, won a national championship, and is an absolutely do-it-all electric safety that, again, we want to be clear, it's for the purpose of this humorous conversation and the fact that if the Ravens go with Caleb Downs, another safety, just as they did a few years ago, Sarah, in 22 with Kyle Hamilton, it would be the ultimate unpredictable move by this team, given the other needs that they have up and down the roster. KP is with us for you.
He says, let me get this straight. Linderbaum's agent is non-responsive, and that's no problem. It's tactics. But Lamar needs an agent so they can talk to someone. Wasn't there a report out there that he hasn't been super responsive?
Yeah, so I believe Ian Rappaport, this was the quote from him. He sat down with Greg Rosenthal. And the quote here that Stone, at Stone_2X, put up on X is as follows. Quote, they have tried to negotiate with him. His agent is very difficult to negotiate with. Neil Cornrich is the agent, and his method is basically not responding. That was the transcription that Stone put out there. I have not watched that, Sarah, to be honest with you. I have not seen that clip.
Right.
But that is the quote that's garnering some traction in the X. So, yeah, this is perhaps Eric's response to that.
He's like, okay, well, you're not going to respond to my phone calls? Here, let me just put the pressure on you here. And hopefully Tyler hears it. Maybe Tyler brings some sense to it because – I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be Tyler's decision. It's his agent that negotiates. His agent will bring Tyler all the different possibilities, and then Tyler will make that decision.
Yep. Appreciate you, KP. And while this isn't a super chat, we do want to extend our condolences to Sherry Ramirez and her husband. They had to put down their cat at only 4 years old. So hopefully today is a little bit of an escape for Sherry. Sherry, we're with you. We love you. And apologies there. When I say apologies, best wishes. Best wishes. Okay. Coming up on, let's see here. Let's do this. Let's reset and talk a little bit about Lamar. Guys, if you could on the way in, please like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership this offseason. Sarah, of course, right off the top, Eric DeCosta at today's NFL Combine media availability was asked about Lamar Jackson. The contract extension, obviously, is a major talking point, just as it was a few years ago. And this is how Eric handled, literally, the first question of many today in Indianapolis.
No, Lamar and I have an agreement. We handle business kind of in-house internally, as you all know. That worked well for us the last time, and we will continue to have that policy moving forward. Have spoken to Lamar about a lot of different things over the last month. He's been very engaged. As I said, he was a big value to us in the coaching search. But we'll continue those conversations moving forward.
All righty, sir. And by the way, the follow-up was his confidence levels. He was asked to gauge them. And as you can see here on the bottom right of this graphic, as Jeff tweeted, he did say, indeed, that he is confident that he and Lamar will be able to reach an agreement on a contract extension. And this backs up, Sarah, what Jeff mentioned on the collective that we talked about at length within the last week or so, that Lamar has not only been engaged, but he has been involved. He's been of value throughout the coaching process, as Eric said. And hopefully this bodes well for a much less complicated, less drawn out process than 3 years ago, right around now, between he and Eric DeCosta.
Yeah. So once again, the national media narratives needing to be quashed, but it's not going to work because Lamar is too click-worthy, right? And so bringing contention, trying to put a wedge between Lamar and the organization is a tried and true method by national media, especially specific ones. I don't think we need to name which ones they are. I think we all know. But there is nobody that knows how to interact with Lamar Jackson and gain his trust inside the Ravens organization than Eric DeCosta. Eric has been through this before. He didn't stutter. He didn't flinch. They asked him about it. He didn't say, "Oh, I can understand why you guys want the question, yada, yada, yada." He's like, "No, Lamar and I have an agreement. This is between us. It's private. It's behind closed doors, and I'm going to honor that agreement." So you're not going to hear him saying, like he said with Tyler Linderbaum, "Oh, I offered him a record-setting or a market-setting deal." You're not going to hear him say that. He's going to keep all those details between the two of us, and but he did. It's exactly what Jeff said. To your point, Lamar's been engaged. He's been engaged since Steve Bisciotti reached out at the end of the season to get his feelings on John Harbaugh. He's been engaged with the head coaching search. He's been engaged with the offensive coordinator search. And now it sounds like he's engaged with the negotiations. And so engaged that as much as Eric wants to keep things private, he at least felt like he said that he's confident that he'll be able to reach an agreement on an extension. So that's all good news. I think he simultaneously did a good job of keeping things private, honoring his agreement with Lamar, not letting too much out of the bag, but also maybe giving some peace of mind to the Ravens fan base to say that he's confident that it will get done. I don't know what all the details are behind that. I don't know how truthful it is. I mean, based off of reporting from Jeff, it seems to coincide with that. But the messaging was perfect.
You know, it's also in the spirit of building trust, which we know that Declan has spoke about, Jesse has spoken about that. That was a major takeaway from both of today's media availabilities, whether it's related to Nnamdi Madubuike, whether it's related to an offseason surgery that Nate Wiggins posted about, whether it was Lamar. Both of these stakeholders, these key faces of the franchise from a coaching and front office standpoint, were sure to keep that privacy line concrete. And we remember, speaking of Declan Doyle, last week when the coordinators were introduced, I'd say his words, probably a fair way of putting it, were taken to a point where he probably never ever expected them to go or wanted them to go, as it relates to something as simple and maybe even monotonous when it comes to the players as organized team activities, which are voluntary attendance coming up this spring, Sarah. And they went again to a nuclear level of national conversation. If you missed it, here is the clip, and then we'll kind of share how Eric maybe cleaned it up in a sense as it relates to Lamar, which again, the question before I toss to this was not specifically asked about Lamar as it relates to Declan Doyle's press conference last week. It was, what are your expectations for the team come OTAs, and this is how Declan handled that last week.
Going to be here, and certainly it is voluntary, and so, but it's also, if you want to say that you're going to win a championship, you want to say that you have championship standards and those are your goals and your expectations, certainly that's going to take work, that's going to take collaboration, that's going to take the beginning of building the relationship with their coaches, other players, starting off this next regime on the right foot. And so that would be those guys getting in here, us being able to work with them hands-on and be able to kind of get this thing going in the direction that we want to, and making improvements so that we set ourselves up where when we come back in for training camp, we hit the ground running, we already have kind of shared knowledge, shared language, and we're able to go right to work.
And as we discussed last week, Sarah, for some reason, maybe based on past OTA involvement or lack thereof from an attendance perspective, or just simply because it's Lamar, this conversation became about him, and it was spun and it was talked about and it was brought to the national level. So I don't think it's coincidence that there was a follow-up question as it relates to Lamar specifically, Sarah, earlier this afternoon, I should say morning, when Eric was at his podium, and here's how he handled the expectations for a two-time MVP who's now getting ready for year 9 in Baltimore when it comes to OTAs this upcoming offseason.
What, those are voluntary? Lamar's a 2-time MVP. I think he knows what it takes to get ready for the grind of the NFL season. He's proven he can do it at a very, very high level, and I have no preference.
AKA, let's quiet the noise, he says.
Oh, that was good from EDC. But yeah, just to back up, listen, there is nothing more frustrating than a straw man argument when people put words in your mouth and then criticize you for the words that you never uttered. And that is 1,000% what the national media did to Declan Doyle. 1,000%. He was asked about team in general coming to the OTAs, and he said nothing wrong. He just spoke all facts, especially when you have in a brand new regime. If you want to talk about being a champion, then come and do as much as you can to become a champion. We're a new offense. We're a new coaching regime. We have new schemes. Yeah, I'd like the team to be here. It's voluntary. Now, could Declan Doyle polish his words going forward? Absolutely. Absolutely. He clearly is a rookie offensive coordinator. He clearly is a rookie when dealing with questions about the offense, knowing everybody reads things through a Lamar Jackson lens. So he's probably painfully learning that lesson on the fly. But coaches don't show up at OTAs to coach nobody. So, of course, and you can still encourage them. You just can't require it, which is why there are built-in bonuses for showing up to OTAs. That's, again, not requiring them, but it is a nice incentive. It's a really nice incentive. And so no problem with anything with that, but he will become more polished. And then, so just to be clear, Declan Doyle was asked about the team, whereas Eric DeCosta was specifically asked about Lamar Jackson. He answered it yet again in a way that I will find out. Sometimes some of these national media talking heads like Skip Bayless, somehow they're so skilled at twisting people's words. How he might be able to twist, these are voluntary. Lamar's a 2-time MVP. I think he knows what it takes to get ready for the grind of the NFL season. He's proven he can do it at the very, very high level, and I have no preference. Actually, you know what? Let me tell you how they're going to spin it. Now, instead of being like, whoa, you just called out your 2-time MVP quarterback, they're going to be like, oh, but Lamar hasn't made it to the Super Bowl, so you need to hold him accountable. So maybe you should put some incentives in there. Maybe you should, you know what I mean? They can spin it either way. Either way that you go, they could take the other angle. And so whatever, this is the correct way to do it. It's voluntary. Lamar does know what it takes to get ready. My caveat, my personal opinion, and not something I'm going to crucify anybody for, I think, just like he has done in times past, Lamar will be here for all the OTAs because it is a regime change. And so I think that his history points that he'll probably do it again. And I have no doubt that Lamar can get himself ready at an MVP level. More what it is this time around is that his team is more dependent on Lamar this time around, to everybody together learning the offense so that they can be good to go week 1. When nobody knows the offense, it would be more beneficial for Lamar to be in there. For sure, Lamar can get himself ready. This time around, it's more about a team learning a new offense, which is why I would like to see him this time around with the regime change. And if history repeats itself, he will.
I think we both have doubts that this slide will come to fruition. And that is Eric's wishes of re-signing Isaiah Likely to a contract extension. He said that very briefly, not even worthy of pulling the clip, because it was simply just, absolutely, I'd like to re-sign Isaiah Likely. But what is interesting is when Lamar gets on social media this time of year, which he did last night, and BR Gridiron here on X put out an off-season graphic of Isaiah after scoring a touchdown earlier on in his career. And the exercise is Isaiah Likely will be a blank, and you got to go fill it in. And Lamar said, I'll participate. And he mentioned, literally, tagged the Ravens with prayer emojis and a purple heart, as if to say, keep them, re-sign them, extend them. We know these two have a great rapport together, Sarah, both on and off the field. They've established that over the years. They've made some pretty big-time plays together, both off schedule and on schedule. I don't know how this changes the calculus. We know what Isaiah Likely is on record for having told John Gruden just a couple weeks ago in San Francisco on Radio Row. And he's probably going to get paid, and paid very handsomely, when he hits the open market. And that's a bummer, because Lamar clearly wants him around. Why wouldn't you? He never truly felt like you saw the ceiling of what these two could peak to be as a pairing. But this is Lamar recruiting, perhaps, for his guy.
Listen, up to this point, I've been believing most of what we've reviewed from Eric DeCosta. This one, well, let me rephrase. I still believe that Lamar and Eric DeCosta would absolutely like for Isaiah Likely to be here. and Eric DeCosta's actions back that up when he went to EDC, or when he went to Likely twice reportedly and made him offers to stay a Raven. But oh yes, I would absolutely like him to return. Listen, I would absolutely like a lot of guys to return. I would absolutely like, and I bet Eric DeCosta would absolutely like to be able to trade for, I don't know, say Max Crosby or any other number of guys. I'm sure he would absolutely like to sign a bunch of free agents. But does that translate to reality on the ground and what can happen? No, it does not. So yes, Lamar Jackson, I'm sure, wants Isaiah Likely back. Yes, I'm sure Eric DeCosta does. He tried to do that. Do I think that's going to translate to Isaiah Likely coming back? No, I do not. I think the tea leaves have been out there for us to read ever since they signed Mark Andrews to an extension. Plus, when you heard Isaiah Likely talking to John Gruden, and he's like, oh, yeah, I told my agent to go out and find out what he could get. Like,
Pretty
he's
much.
like, I like Mark Andrews, but like, I'd rather be that guy. I've learned a lot from Mark, but I want to be that guy. Like, I think, barring a miracle, Isaiah Likely is not coming back, as much as we would all absolutely like for it to happen.
Yeah, Christian was out in front of this by about 10 minutes with a super chat asking us to talk about Lamar responding to that Likely post. Was it for the fans? Do we think he hasn't had a convo with Isaiah? Well, here's what Eric said specifically about both players, meaning Isaiah and Mark, earlier this morning.
We were in a little bit of a jam last year at that position where we had nobody coming back. And we had conversations with Mark. We had conversations with Isaiah. And we were able to get a deal done with Mark at the end of the season, or near the end of the season, that we felt really good about. We expect him to get back to himself and be the player that he can be. He's been one of our great players over the last, whatever it's been, how many years? 8 years, I guess, 7 years. And he's still got a lot in the tank. And we think he's going to be a playmaker for us this year. And we're glad we got the deal done.
Hey, to answer the Sorry, respond to that, and I was going to go back to the super chat.
Nah, it's just what you
Question.
expect, and this is messaging that I certainly expected. I'm sure in the back of his mind, he's wondering if this is going to be a mistake in the years ahead based on Isaiah's potential, based on Isaiah's ceiling, based on the way in which those negotiations went over the summer, which was likely choosing to go bet on himself and then unfortunately going down on that one-on-one rep at the end of training camp. And really, for a multitude of reasons, the season ended up becoming a wash on that side of the ball. And so I'm sure, naturally, as a general manager, he's wondering, how will this age? But obviously, if Mark does indeed have more in the tank, which I have no reason to believe that he doesn't. It's been a couple of years south of where he typically is and what he's come to be over his time. He has built himself back up after that gruesome hip drop ankle, or the hip drop tackle that resulted in a pretty serious ankle injury for him. And obviously he is waiting for that signature postseason run and a reliable postseason run as a pass catcher from a ball security standpoint. But the Ravens are banking in a lot of ways that Mark has more left in the tank. The contract is not, they don't have a stranglehold. Mark and his team don't have the team, meaning the Ravens, in a stranglehold, as we've discussed with some of the specifics of that deal. But certainly they're hoping that he has more left in the tank, because Charlie Kohler's there's no guarantee he's back, and there's no guarantee whoever you bring in on perhaps day 3 or through free agency is going to bring in a level that'll compete with what you have in Mark Andrews.
Yeah, and I agree with Eric. I think that Mark does have a lot left in the tank. I think he will be productive. That's not my concern. My concern is more about being clutch in big moments. But with Christian in his question where he says, do we think that he hasn't had a conversation with Isaiah? I will just say this. When I saw that tweet, you know what it reminded me of? Is after Hollywood Brown was traded. And remember, Lamar put out a tweet trying to express that he was sad that Hollywood had to go. So everybody, but the way the tweet came out is most people interpreted it as, oh, dang, how did you not know? How did you guys not tell Lamar that it was happening? How did his best friend on the team not talk to him about it? And because it came across as if Lamar was surprised that they traded him. But then later, Lamar in a press conference clarified and said, oh, no, I always knew that it was going down. Like, of course I knew. He's like, but I was trying to express my disappointment that he needed to or wanted to move on, but he knew. And so I guess I'm looking at this tweet in the same type of vein, that he would really love to have Isaiah Likely back. He may know better than us what's going on behind the scenes, just like he did with Hollywood Brown. But I didn't take this as, a sign that Isaiah could be back. Now, I do think that Kobe Pruitt, a different super chat here, makes a decent point where he says Likely could sign a 1-year deal and cut Mark in 2027. Now, that's true. Like, everybody keeps asking if you could trade Mark this year. No, because you'd have $18 million in dead cap and you just signed him. That would be GM malpractice. However, next year, because of the way it's structured, you would have a $5 million dead cap, which isn't as bad. And then you could free up some money. So maybe that's true. But signing Isaiah Likely to 1 year, then you would still be going into 2027 with neither one of them locked up for that year.
That's a good read, though, by you in terms of the comparison game there in Lamar's tweet activity, dating all the way back to, 2022, I suppose. So good stuff there. Let's get some super chats in before Marlon.
Sure.
Awesome. All right. Let's see. We left off with Christian. So we picked things back up with D-Rod, who's celebrating 11 months of channel membership with us. And he writes, been downgraded to an audio listener. Meaning you downgraded yourself, or because we didn't downgrade you, D-Rod. I know that. But I just wanted to stop by and say thanks for all you do for the listeners. Hopefully we can retain Tyler Linderbaum. Thanks, D-Rod.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. Sounds like he has to listen audio, but because he's still a member. Look, he's kept his membership on YouTube. So we appreciate you, D-Rod.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, coming up on 1 year of that when we rolled it out in March. Anai is with us.
Says Lamar retweeted from a fan that said something about a wish for a Ravens Super Bowl from his grandfather, and Lamar said something along the lines of "They will." Lamar will sign an extension. Hate Skip and Lamar haters. Yeah, we went over that yesterday. A fan put out a picture of his grandfather, who's 101 years old and is a World War II veteran, and said that he was happy with his entire life. There's nothing much else that he wanted to do or see, but then added that he would like to see Lamar win a Super Bowl. And Lamar said that he prays to Jesus that they can make it happen and that Pops can see it. So do I think that's like a sign that he's signing an extension? No, because Lamar is going to be on the roster regardless of if there's an extension. But I think how engaged he is and the confidence level of Eric DeCosta is more telling, because Eric DeCosta, remember in that podcast maybe last week, said there was a lot of work to be done with Linderbaum, and then he's followed up this week with a little bit of a negotiation tactic in public. So we got the vibes that things weren't going great, but we're getting very different vibes with Lamar in terms of his engagement and his confidence level.
Thanks, and KP says, sounds like Lamar is, quote, re-engaged now that Harbaugh is gone.
The
Dream
timing
says,
lines up with that.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like Lindy's camp, Dream says, is looking for workers comp after having to play next to those two guards the last couple seasons. Clever. Certainly clever.
We are going to be, demanding a little bonus here for what you've put my guy through the last 2 years.
Very clever, Quion. You're in your off-season clever
Bag.
Super Chat creations bag. Minister of God 7 for you.
The thing about the young, they may be smart and full of energy, but the issue is they are not always ready for prime time when it comes to speaking. He might be talking about Doyle there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That brings us to look who it is. Mr. Eric
yes!
Hill.
By the way, I emailed you yesterday, Eric, and he responded with a very long email back,
which I have not had a chance to read yet.
Yeah, no, he is. I won't disclose everybody, but he is going through stuff.
Okay.
He is going through some challenges, but he does want to be back. So I'm glad to see this super chat from him.
And some of this, indicates exactly that. He says, in case no one tells you today they love you, just know that I do. I'm alive, everyone. Bobby and Sarah, I read your email and responded. #StopThe22. And that is on my reading list today. Hopefully at some point this week, if not today. It's been insanity. And I always like to, when I need to read something important, I want to be in a quiet environment with no one around so that I am not interrupted. So it's simply because of that. But Eric, you're the man. I love the profile photo. And you are celebrating 5 months of channel membership, my friend. You've brought a lot more than just 5 months of membership to this channel. I know that. So thanks to you.
And Eric, good luck with everything that you detailed out. I did read it, and I wish you the absolute best.
I will be there soon I'll co-sign it regardless, but I'll be in the know soon. Wes, what's up, Wes? Mr. Texas is in the live chat with a super chat. And Anai writes, true, but be for real. If he wants a Super Bowl, he's going to help the Ravens with their cap space, right?
No, they can always play with their own cap space. Yeah.
Which they may have to do, Sarah, if this deal is not done between now and.
And by the way, an extension is going to give him a ridiculous amount of more money.
Yep.
This isn't just like helping the Ravens. Like, it will help the Ravens to have an extension, but I mean, he will get a signing bonus and a fat check. I mean, he's already set for, so much base salary that he'll get. I think it's like close to like 22 million. I can look it up here real quick. But with an extension and more guaranteed money and a signing bonus, it's going to just blow out of the water what he's due right now.
Yeah. And that brings us to Marlon Humphrey.
Here, sorry, real quick. Let me tell you what it is here. So his base salary for 2026 is 51 million. So that's what he would make next year. Not the 75 million that you see as a cap hit, because that's all accounting on the books. But just remember, when he signed his extension, he had 135 million guaranteed at signing. So So yes, he's guaranteed $50 million in 2026, but you know that $135 million is going to be even more 3 years later.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, he could be close to something like $150 million signing bonus. That's 3 times what he's set to get right now. So we talk about helping this and that and extension. Like, it's not like Lamar's just being, helpful to the team. It's going to be helpful to him too.
Market setting is not the only word that'll be used for a Ravens player. There'll be twofold: Linderbaum and Lamar when it's all said and done. Hopefully, for the front office. More to come on that, and maybe more to come on Marlon Humphrey. Eric DeCosta said that he expects him to be a Raven this year, and he doesn't, quote, necessarily need a contract adjustment. The quote was that he loves Marlon. Quote, I love Marlon. Brian McFarland's been all over this. We've discussed it at length. And Brian notes, between salary and a $4 million roster bonus, which is due March 15th, Marlon is due over $19 million in cash in 2026. Never say never, but I'd be shocked if he gets that in 2026. I don't doubt they plan to keep him, but this tells me that EDC is confident they will work out some sort of modified deal. Brian also added in this, before we get to some of the nuance that you've brought in, cutting Marlon prior to June 1 would save over $7.3 million. If they can work out a revised deal to create at least that much in savings this year, which would reduce the $19.25 million down to 10 to 12 with incentives to earn some back if he plays well in 26 and beyond, then it's a win-win in Brian's opinion. You get the savings and keep the player. What was your read on Eric DeCosta's comments earlier?
Real quick, let me read this. I wanted to see a little bit more. So he's saying that's what it would be to cut 7.3. If they can work out a revised deal to create at least that much in savings, down to 10 to 12 million with incentives. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm right lockstep with Brian. Like when Eric DeCosta said that he loves Marlo and he plans on keeping him, I'm like, all right, cool. He'll be back, but there's no way he's keeping him at this figure. I mean, it's a $15 million base salary, but it's over 27 for the cap hit. Like there's just, you just can't pay that much. So my thought was going to be like what we've talked about before, that it was either going to be Ronnie Stanley type deal where he takes a pay cut, although he hasn't had a tumultuous couple years with injuries to the degree that Ronnie went through. Ronnie needed to repair his reputation much more than Marlon does now, even though Marlon's production has not been as good as it has been in the past. And so I'm with Brian there. There's got to be some sort of financial deal in the works, which is either a pay cut or some sort of extension that brings all this down, and then Marlo can still make new money on top of it while bringing the average down and the cap hit down.
More comments here from Eric DeCosta. We talked about the Mark Andrews extension earlier on. We also talked about Isaiah Likely. And then Jesse Minter, during his press conference, said that Nnamdi Madubuike was on site at the facility a few weeks ago. But much like a couple other players, Sarah, he wanted to keep those discussions private. We know that Nnamdi has sent out some cryptic tweets, cryptic phrases, cryptic graphics, cryptic notes in recent weeks on X, one of which was good news with a prayer emoji.
Yeah.
So, continues to be pretty up in the air, but I guess it's good that he's in the facility.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, the vibes have changed, right? Like, whereas before it felt like it was almost certain that, maybe he had a career ending injury and it was this tweet that kind of changed things around. So yeah, I don't know how to read that he was at the facility. I mean, I'm sure Jesse Minter and Eric DeCosta, they need to know as much up-to-date information as possible with free agency looming in a couple weeks. So I'm sure Minter had that conversation with Nnamdi, like, where are you at? Like, what's really going on? And maybe Nnamdi has been at the facility to work with trainers so they can get a look at him. I mean, I don't know that you can definitely say that it was a good sign, but at least it probably was a checking in sign at the very least of like, where are you at? Can I build a defense with you in it?
Yeah.
And if you're in it, you're certainly going to be a centerpiece. And so I'm sure they learned a lot of information the last time that he was in the facility, though.
Yeah, and Jesse knows, like he knows enough to want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Trenches, the importance of trenches, which came up during his presser earlier today.
You know, it's an O-line, D-line driven league. When you look at the last few, just look at the Super Bowl winners of the last couple years. I think that's really where you start, is like, how have these teams won that final game? And 2 years ago, it was the Eagles, like O-line, D-line driven. This year, Seattle, same deal. So I think that's an area that you're always looking to get better. I think there are some good pieces there. And so it'd be about coaching them up, developing them more, and then adding some pieces to help us get to that level.
Yes, please. Yes, please. I like to talk about the trenches, just as long as like it actually comes through in fruition on the field, because the Ravens have constantly talked about the trenches and it just wasn't there for the offensive line. And with Madubuike out, it wasn't there with the defensive line. So let's figure that out, because that has always been, no matter what kind of evolution has happened in football, nothing has ever changed, that whoever wins the trenches has the best shot at winning the game.
Yep. Rest of these are yours. Super
Yeah,
chats,
so
or I should say quick hits. We have more super chats to get to, but quick hits that have come in from other press conferences today. And by the way, John Harbaugh is at the podium as we speak, so perhaps there'll be some stuff to pull in for tomorrow. And the next quick hit that you have after this is certainly one that's Lamar has just tweeted about. So I'll go grab that, and you
you go grab Lamar's. Okay. Well, Ben Johnson was asked during his podium session at the Combine about Declan Doyle becoming the offensive coordinator for Baltimore. And he had just nothing but glowing things to say. He said, Declan is a phenomenal football coach. If you didn't know that he was 29 years old, but he's 30 now, by the way, Bobby. He's 30. He's since turned 30. It's like, but if you didn't know he was 29.
Wait a second now.
What?
I thought he's not 30 until next month.
What? I thought he already turned 30.
I think it's March, isn't it? I'll look up his birthday, but I'm pretty sure it's not till March. Hey now. Yeah, he's not 30 yet.
Oh, he's still 29.
He's March 6th, all right? Let's let him live out the rest of his 20s here,
I took like 3 or 4 weeks away from him. My bad, Declan. Anyway, he says, if you didn't know that he was 29 years old, you wouldn't blink an eye. The guy is seasoned beyond his years. This has been his calling. He's known for a long time that he was going to be a football coach, and he's prepared himself accordingly. He's very detail-oriented, extremely smart, has a great way of communicating. He's very clear. These guys are getting someone really, really good. I'm disappointed that we lost him as quickly as we did. I was hoping that we'd be able to hold on to him for a little longer.
Yeah.
So what did Lamar have to say about this?
Well, what I meant by that was the final quick hit. This is what players are reacting to, including Lamar. So assuming that you're done with the Ben Johnson thought there, this is just strange. Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, tweeted that we all remember the play. I mean, in Week 14, Ravens Steelers, Aaron Rodgers threw a pass that was batted back to him. Teddy Buchanan wrestled it away. Replay ruled it a Rodgers catch. The NFL now says the call on the field of an interception should have stood. And then Jeff adds on, and this is a pretty wonky game. Don't forget about the leverage call on Travis Jones that led to a Steelers touchdown. The league admitted it was the wrong call a day later. And if you want to add in a third there, which we remember in the end zone between Isaiah Likely and Joey Porter Jr., there was a lot of back and forth confusion and a lack of clarification, Sarah, about that game. And now months later, and this is what Lamar and Kyle Van Noy and others have been reacting to since this was tweeted, for it to come out months later. I mean, Lamar's having fun with it. He's like, so technically we won 10-7, first off season win ever. Like he's having a little bit of fun. I don't know what 10-7 means though, because they finished 8-9. So what does he mean by that?
8-9. I don't know. Would have been 9-8. Maybe he got the numbers wrong.
Yeah.
He said first off season win ever though.
That's funny though. That is funny. But where's the 10 and 7? What, are we missing some math here? Is he
I don't
giving himself
know.
both Steelers wins?
I
I don't know.
maybe.
I don't know.
All I know is that would have meant the Ravens went to the playoffs and not the Steelers. It would have been one more week. And obviously, you never know. Who did the Steelers play in round one?
Oh, goodness.
Was it the Texans?
Who the heck did Pittsburgh have in week 1? My mind is so far from that.
2026 playoff.
Isn't that crazy?
Who did they play?
That it just doesn't. Yeah, Houston. Everybody says Houston.
Yeah, Houston. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Could the Ravens have beaten Houston? I mean, they lost earlier, but that was like the Ravens' major injury game. Like they had so many guys out. So many guys out. Would it have been crazy to think the Ravens could have won that wild card game? No, not with the way Lamar was playing.
Win and you're in. Win, or anything. Everything is erased
Can happen.
prior. But KVN's ticked. He's like, have we ever seen the NFL come out months after a game has been played, a couple weeks after the entire NFL season finished, and admitted they didn't get one huge crucial call in the biggest NFL rivalry game, but they got 2 crucial calls in the game wrong? So the total was 3 horrible calls in one game. That's insane. Then he goes on to list them all out. Wow, accountability, kind of, sort of, not really, but something kind of. We need some sort of action now because this cannot happen at the highest level. I understand 1, but 3, shaking my head from KVN.
Especially, I remember being so ticked about this. First of all, I don't think they admitted they got likely wrong, correct?
No, they did not.
And that was the previous game. Or was that that was all in the same game, the likely touchdown?
All three.
Dang. But here's what ticked me off about the interception to Rodgers from Teddy Buchanan is that it was called correctly on the field. It was New York with the benefit of having plenty of time and replay and access to the rules. It really is insane. It was so bad because the whole point of having New York is saying, hey, up here, we'll make sure we get it right because the refs have an unfair advantage because everything's so bang, bang. And it all has to be done like at the snap of a finger in the blink of an eye. And so that's what New York is for. We can take our time. We can look at replays. We can do all that. But instead, with all of that at their disposal, they got it wrong and the refs on the field got it right. I mean, it was just so terrible. And the Steelers needed every single one of those in order to win that game and to head to the playoffs. Now, according to Steve Bisciotti, John Harbaugh would have been fired anyway. I mean, who knows how far they needed to go in order for him not to be fired? Maybe the Super Bowl. But I can see why KVN's ticked. And I like Lamar's being cool. He's being like nice about it. He's joking about it. But it's just bad. It's such a bad look for the NFL, especially up in New York.
Just to be clear, though, this was the first time they played. The 2 teams played. So, does that change the complexion of what was on the line in the regular season finale at Pittsburgh? Maybe. But this was the first time around. Let me get the week for you. Week 14.
Okay. They were they were like basically back to back, right? Like week 14 and then week 18.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just to be clear on that. Super chats. Let's see. We left off with Anai. And by the way, the timing of that's crazy too. Why now? Why are they sending this out now?
Well, is it just because they're able to talk to him at the combine?
I don't know where it came. I didn't even read the article from Florio. It's just the description was enough. So I'm not sure the specifics of that, but that would make sense now that everybody's here. Minister of God 7 says, yes, I was talking about Doyle. I have no doubt he will get there. I am pumped about this hire. I believe the first one was related to the messaging, right? He goes, the thing about the young, they may be smart and full of the youth. They may be smart and full of energy, but the issue is they are not always ready for prime time when it comes to speaking. And it's more like, just we're nitty gritty. His words were taken out of context. And it's not even, his words weren't even taken out of context. They put words in his mouth.
Put words in his mouth and then criticize him for it.
But Minister of God, I think, it's fair to say like even Eric left no room for doubt today right, about his preference for Lamar and OTAs. And so maybe like along the lines of what he's getting at here, you can, as you get more seasoned in front of the microphone, you can be, more defiant, more specific, more, undoubtedly, undeniably, it'll come with time.
Yeah, and what ticked me off about that also is because I listened to a lot of those national analysts talking about it, including Unk or Skip or any of the other guys, and they're like, well, obviously he was asked about the team because a bunch of Ravens fans went to them on social media, and it was like he asked about the team, and then they just took it upon themselves to be like, well, yeah, he's asked about the team, but he's obviously talking about Lamar. It's obvious that he's like mostly talking about him because it's Lamar who hasn't been there. And it's like, but then they used incorrect information. Like I remember Unk saying, well, Lamar's never there. And it's like, nah, that's not true. First of all, he's been there for all of them for the regime changes on offensive coordinators. Plus, he still shows up to a couple on the non-regime changes. Like he shows up for one or two here and there. And so like they didn't even have the information right. And it's like, who are you to criticize a dude when you're making a major assumption that he like is secretly really talking about Lamar because that's your interpretation? Because it has to be. It just has to be for your sake.
FA
By the way, to answer your question, Pro Football Talk, the way Florio wrote this, he says a league spokesman confirmed to PFT that when NFL Executive VP of Football Operations Troy Vincent said there were replay reviews the league wishes it could have back, because Vincent said that to, is his name Maskey? What's his name? Yeah, Mark Maskey. He told him that a while ago. And then so Florio here is following up and say, hey, it was one of those calls, the ruling of Rodgers catching it and not an interception. And the league spokesman confirmed to Mike that it was. I'm assuming Mike got that access at the combine.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah.
Everything's going on here. A lot of media availabilities, anybody and everybody related to the NFL. FA Louisville writes, join the stream late. I wonder if any team can beat Lindy's offer with their state tax implications. I'm not sure what the emoji is because we can't see it on our end.
Yeah.
But maybe someone out there can. Anyway, appreciate you, Louisville. And Dozy Dope is with us.
By the way, you know what I'm learning, even though people don't have state taxes? The government makes up for it in other ways. So like we can talk about, oh, they get to avoid state taxes. I guess it all just depends, but like they make up for it through like property taxes or sales taxes or stuff like that. Now, technically, I guess if a guy bought like a small apartment, then maybe they can still, save a lot of money by getting an apartment rather than buying like a home where you're paying a lot of property taxes. But anyway, the government usually makes up for it. But I wonder if a team can beat the Lindy offer. I mean, maybe. But again, at the end of the day, it's like, what does Lindy want? Like, you're like counting, yeah. You have a market setting deal if you want it with the Ravens. If you want more, that's your prerogative. Go for it.
Dozy Dope writes, every player on this team knows they will benefit from Jesse's mentorship. Well done there. Dogs recognize dogs. RRR.
RRR.
Ooh, I don't know that one. Let's do a Google search.
Oh boy.
Let's see.
Here we go.
Let's see here. Rise, roar, revolt? Is that or are we just doing
I have no idea.
Rise, roar, and revolt most commonly refers to the 2022 blockbuster film. Originally, it was okay. You just let us know there, Dozy. Real recognize
real. There we go.
If that really is the case,
I don't know why we
hilarious.
Google anything. Chat is better at
Wait, that is. Listen, I got to tell you right now, I would have been here for days wondering what that was, and I wouldn't have gotten down to the bottom of it.
They sure got a kick out of you barking, though.
Okay, that's good. Dozy Dope, we're continuing to learn things in the name of abbreviations. Kelly and Kevin Jackson, thank you both for believing in what we're building. We appreciate the support that you give us through Patreon. This is your monthly shout out. Thank you both. And if you guys are interested in doing the same this offseason, you can visit patreon.com youtube.com/Ravens Vault podcast to learn more about what we have going on over there to get more involved with the channel. Partner, good solid day.
Yeah.
Appreciate everybody for adjusting their schedules accordingly. We built it around Jesse and Eric's media availability, and I'm sure there'll be more coming up from Indy. I have not even gotten to the convention center yet, solely based on logistics. So I'm looking forward to maybe this just being the calm before the storm. So we'll see what the second half of the week has in store for us. The collective will be live tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, and maybe I'll sneak one in the late afternoon hours, depending on what's going on as well. So that's what's going on there. And we in good shape, partner?
I think we're in great shape.
Awesome. Well, thanks to everybody for hanging out. Thanks to Primary Residential Mortgage for the continued support of our program. We have, of course, a giveaway to do on Friday. So go enter yourself in if you haven't already. Like the video on your way out if you could. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership this offseason. For Sarah, I'm Bobby signing off from this Tuesday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. Vaultrons, as always, we appreciate the support. And thanks for spending some time with us here inside the Vault.